Again, we're out here just having some fun.
Remember, black powder.
Scratch. You see these scratch marks right here?
The truncated cone was exactly as its name suggested. It has a shoulder halfway up the length of the bullet, sloping sides that ends in a flat nose. And it proved itself worthy in some of the toughest conditions on the battlefield, especially during the First World War. It was so effective, it was withdrawn from German service after a year of fighting. In 1902, the German army requested that George Luger increase the caliber of his pistol to deliver greater stopping power. Luger took his .30 Luger bottleneck cartridge and straightened it into a 9mm case. This took 2 years of development, and during that time, Luger worked with the Prussian Weapons Proving Commission, and especially Oberlieutenant Adolf Fischer, the Commission's handgun specialist. While it was Luger who perfected the cartridge, Fischer is credited with coming up with a 124 grain or 8 gram truncated cone bullet. Expanding bullets for military use were prohibited under the 1899 Hague Convention, and many countries were looking for a design that was effective without breaking the rules. Tests already showed that the truncated cone was more effective than a conventional round-nosed bullet. Instead of threading a wound channel that would close up pretty quickly, the sharp edges of the nose and shoulder worked like a punch, or like one of those Keith-type semi-wad cutter bullets. It bored in its way, destroying blood vessels, creating a huge wound channel which bled freely and were slower to heal. In 1908, the German Army adopted the Luger Pt2, chambered for the 9mm Luger, and the 124 grain truncated cone bullet became standard issue. Meanwhile, German atrocities during the First World War, namely using poison gas on the fronts for the first time and sinking the passenger liner Lusitania, darkened the world's opinion on Germany, and breaking convention by using a devastating new round seemed like a bad idea. During that time, word got out that French were executing any German soldiers found in possession of the truncated cone ammunition. Gradually, the truncated cone faded from sight as the new ball ammo was adopted by many countries. In the United States, truncated cone bullets were unknown, except for Ideal's cast bullet mold number 356-402. It closely copied the German jacketed original, except for adding a lube groove. The earliest full metal jacket and truncated cone bullets weighed 124 grains. These were replaced in Germany with a 124 grain full metal jacket with a round ogive. In 1915 through 1916, though truncated cone bullets were used on commercial loads in the US into the 1930s. Later, round-nosed full metal jacket 115 grain bullets were introduced by a number of countries, including Britain. The German Luger load would go from 124 grains all the way down to 95 grains. The myth of using machine gun ammunition has been with us as long as the Luger. Many times these guns can be run on standard ball ammo that you find at your local Wally World. If you're hand loading, try to attain at least between 11 to 1200 feet per second using a fast burning powder, usually like a bullseye or a unique, with a 124 grain bullet, either truncated cone or full metal jacket. You do not want to overload for these guns. Mandy CA here, back after we cleaned her up. Now, the way I like to clean up is using Hoppy's number 9 because it's a really great solvent for dissolving caked on and old gunpowder residue. You can see right here, firing pin had a lot of residue on it. Came right off, just kind of wiped right out. So I'll go through and hit everything with a little bit of Hoppy's number 9, and what I do after that is I'll use a little bit of brake free. I've got my brake free in here, and I'll go through and parts that are kind of rubbing on each other and wearing on each other, metal on metal, I'll put a little bit of brake free on there, just because brake free I think is a superior lubricant protectant. But Hoppy's also gets in all the little nooks and crannies that if you don't really reach, it kind of flows in there and keeps everything nice and lubed. And like I said, this gun probably has never been taken apart. And you can just tell by the way it looked when we were taking it apart and how dirty it was. So that's what we're gonna do. That's my procedure. Never had any problems with it. Never had anybody complain about the guns rusting up on them or not working or firing correctly. Yours may vary. Your mileage may vary, as they say. All right, let's get back to putting this piece of history together. Let's see if we could get that on film. There you go. Open end and close end. Open end, which is this side, is going to go on the bottom. That's how I've always done it, and that's how this one was when we took it apart. Grab your pin. There we go. Extractor is there. Make sure it's flush. It's one of the big things you want to do. All right. Next thing we're going to do is put our striker firing pin in there. Firing pin goes in first. Spring. Again, these are both captured on both sides. I'm sorry. They're both closed on both sides, so it really doesn't make a difference. And then the firing pin. And it makes it easier if you lower it like this, because you see when you open it, you got a lot more you got to push down. So close it and use your screwdriver with the tape on it. You go in. There you go. And your firing pin is back. You can tell because you've got pressure. You see right here. There, you kind of can see how it works, how it opens up. And we've got freedom of movement, everything perfect. Give it a little bit of a wipe down. And this portion is complete. We'll set the toggle aside. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to assemble the frame. And the hardest part of this gun is putting the mainspring frame back in, because you can see how much we've got to compress this. Okay. What we'll do is we're going to take it off, and this is one place where this is one kind of procedure I would advise using a vise if you have one. If you don't, try to use a sandbag. I use this sandbag to kind of give you a little more leverage and a little bit somewhere you can dig the butt of the gun in. Now we're going to put in the toggle link now, and this is what captures the spring, and it'll go in that way. See how that sits in there, like so. Hook portion is up on top, right in here. And that's what grabs the hook on the toggle. And this is where this hook right here is where we put our spring in, it's gonna capture. Now the guide spring goes hook forward because that's got to capture inside the toggle link, like so. Okay? Like I said, this is going to be one of those things where first thing you have to get the toggle link into the body, push it into the body, and I like to use pretty stout punch, and then it'll fit in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to set the spring hook onto your toggle link. Now we're over here at the vise, and I'm going to show you how we're going to set it up here. I'm just going to take usually I use a piece of leather or an older rag, and I'm going to set it in here. You want to make sure that the open area is facing you so you can see what's going on. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to tie up and set the spring, if we can, while we do this, because we could reach in here and kind of mess with the spring. So here we go. Remember, you want the hook, that portion goes to the front, otherwise you're wasting your time and you're gonna have to redo it. So let's see how long this will take here, because this is always fun. First, there's like a two-step process. All right. All right, you can see right there, spring catch. Get close up so you can see how it loops on there, latches on the main spring. All right, next thing we're gonna do is put the magazine catch. And this guy, you'll see him gets attached right over here, the milled area, where that little bar is right there. We're gonna have to push it in, and I found the easiest way to do that is just to use something that kind of give you a little bit of a rest. And I use a small screwdriver head to act like a shelf. Put it down here like so. That way when we push this catch up, there. You see the catch. Next thing we're going to put on is going to be the safety. And again, I'm going to put a little bit of, or rub a little bit of CLP on there. And hit this area right here. This is where it rides up and down on the frame. I hit that area with a little bit of our steel wool, our 4/0 steel wool. And that'll keep it nice and smooth and make that safety feel like it's on ball bearings. So this will go, you can see where it goes underneath. It comes out of this cut right there. Now on the actual manual safety lever, if you look on the other side, there's a little detent ball right there. See that? Well, I use a little bit of moly grease, kind of wedged it in there because that has a tendency to fall out. The moly will kind of glue it, so to speak, into place until you're ready to put it in. And again, I'll put a little bit of CLP, just a little drop right there, because that's touching the, that's metal on metal going on right here. You want to make sure that everything is sufficiently lubed up. And again, watch that ball. Make sure the notch is in here. Now, you're going to put your pin back in from the bottom. This is the pin that holds everything together. Alright. You see, right down here where we inserted the pin. see it right there. All right. I'm going to put the trigger in next. Again, make sure you got the spring on the back. And you don't want to kink that spring as you put it in. You may want to use a screwdriver to help guide it in. And good as new. Next we'll put the magazine catch in. Slide in from the opposite side. There you go. Magazine catches in. Now we're going to install the spring here. The magazine spring catch here. And again, top right there goes to the top. And you're just going to kind of lightly tap it in. Or push it in, however you want to do it. You'll see it. There's a notch that it catches into under the magazine release. There's a notch right there that flat leaf goes into. Alright, you can see how the magazine catch sits in there underneath the little lip over here on the top of the frame, and in that little hole, little recess cut. Now we're going to test it out. Magazine frame is in. You can see the bolt stop is activated after the last shot. And our magazine, it's sticking and it releases. So put on our grips here. And the lower is just about complete. All we have to do, last put the bolt catch over here and then the side plate. But we'll get into that. Okay, now let's go back to our upper. What we're going to do with the upper is we're going to install our ejector. Now with the ejector, you can see how it's shaped. When you put it in, you're going to push it so this end locks in, this middle stud right here, and then that's going to lock it in. It's kind of hard to describe, but you put it in like that. You can feel it down there, and then you just kind of give it a tap because it needs to bend All right, next we're going to put in the sear. Now if you took the sear apart, you want to make sure that you put the plunger and the spring back in. You put that little tiny plunger back in here with the little tiny punch. Slips in just like that. Now you've got the sear spring, which you can see the keyhole cut right there. Well, this thing is going to slide underneath this way, just like so. You take this, let's see if we can get this thing. Push down as you're pushing it back, and there you go. Your sear, you can see how it connects over there. All right. Next thing is we're going to put our bolt back on. Bolt on the rear, assembly bolt. There you go. Grab your takedown lever. Takedown lever. Front takedown pin is in. This one is a little tough, that spring that's in here. And you can see the spring is right there. That's the access to the spring, that little right there underneath the lever hole. Now that, I'm not even taking that out. We've talked about that before. It's not worth it. You can see how it locks the upper up. Okay? Take your receiver, make sure it's all nice and wiped down. Slide it on, flip it around, bring this forward, and you're going to see right in there the hook come out, drop down like that. That's what you want, and it's going to hook on the lever right there that we put in. Okay, now we're back like this. You want to hold it back just a little bit. Put your side plate on. Lever up. You're done. Do a function test on it. Fires. Now we're going to put it in safe. And you can see the safe button come up right here, and it blocks the sear from firing. So, excellent. So that's how you take down and do any kind of maintenance and cleaning of your Luger Pt2 German pistol. Now, I hope you guys have gotten some information that you could take away from this. Beautiful pistols. Don't be scared to work on them. Don't be scared to switch out parts. That's what we're here for. This is why we're here. We want you guys to see there's no magic to this. This is just basic science. If I could do this, anybody could do this. Okay? So, once again, thanks for watching the videos. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns, send them on down at the bottom. Until next time. guns are fun to shoot. Look at that. Fast, accurate, beautiful. And I love that bended knee toggle. Isn't that neat? German ingenuity. Of course. Here's a quick tip for loading your magazines, which you can see how small that loading button is. And that tears up your fingers after a while, which is one reason I'm wearing gloves. Another reason the gun's 100 years old. So I want to make sure that nothing is going to happen if anything blows up in my hand or the ammo or whatever. You never know. But these guns, highly reliable. So use a 44 mag brass. And you can use that on a soft. I like to use my gun case here, soft backing to press it down and drop your loads in. One, two, there you go. Load your mags like that. Everybody shoots, everybody's got brass.